You're shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb. Jesus, till I met you. Yeah. I was breathing, but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my truth till I met you. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Jesus, you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day, into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new. Jesus, when I met you, you called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Yes, I did. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. Thank you, Lord, you called my name. And I ran out of that grave, full of faith, full of mercy. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. Yes, I did, God. I ran to you. I needed rescue. My sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter. I wasn't hoping, but now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healer. Now your love is the air that I breathe. I have a future. My eyes are open. 'Cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave. Yes, I did, Lord. Out of the dark into your glorious day. Thank you, Jesus. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Thank you, Lord. Out of the dark into your glorious day. Out of the darkness into your light, Jesus. I needed rescue. My sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter. I wasn't hoping, but now you call me a citizen of heaven. You say, when I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I breathe. I have a future. My eyes are open. 'Cause when you call my name, oh yeah, I ran out of that grave. Yes, I And not only did he run out of that grave, but my life was bound for the grave. I was bound for death. I was bound for hopelessness. But when he called my name, I ran out of my grave. And he is alive and well today. And that's what we're celebrating this morning. It's Easter Sunday. And he is alive and well. You can go to a tomb, and that's all there is. There's no body, there's no remains, because he rose again. He holds the keys to death, hell, and the grave. He holds the answer to every doubt. He's the healer to every sickness and disease. He is the answer to every question this morning. He is alive and well today. We're going to the Lord in prayer. And what a comfort it is to know that I can call on his name. And because he is alive and well, he hears my cries this morning. If you're watching today, thank you this morning. If you want to interact with us during this prayer time, I encourage you, if there's a prayer request that you have, put that in the comments of wherever you're watching, whatever platform you're watching on. If there's something you would like us to help you pray about, slip that request in the comments right now. There's going to be names come across the screen today. But David writes in Psalm 34:4, he said, I sought the Lord, and here's the good part. He answered me, and he delivered me from all my fears. That's the promise we have this morning, that when we seek him and when we call on his name, he hears me and he delivers me. So right where you are, if you want to join hands with your family, or if you want to join together, that's perfectly fine. However you feel comfortable doing so. But would you go to the Lord in prayer with us this morning? In the name of Jesus, every name that is on this screen, every prayer request that's going to roll through the comments this morning, Lord, every need that is in our lives, every financial need, every sickness, marriage situation, relationship issue, God. Lord, my Bible tells me that you are alive and well today, and I can feel your presence in this sanctuary, and that presence is going forth to homes, into hospital rooms, into jobs, into families, into neighborhoods, God. And it's that presence that heals our bodies, that touches our minds, God. It's that presence that moves into a home and begins to work miracles in relationships. It's that presence that begins to open doors where it seemed like hopelessness was abounding. It's that presence that begins to touch minds and touch attitudes and touch habits this morning. God, we surrender ourselves to you. Like David said, I'm seeking you, God. And when you hear my cry, you deliver me, you save me, you heal me. In the name of Jesus, let it be so this morning. In the name of Jesus. And I wonder right where you are, if you would just give the Lord a hand clap of praise, and you would just signify that you would say, God, I receive that this morning. It may not be today, it might be next week or next month, but God, I'm believing that you're going to work a miracle in my situation. In the name of Jesus. I'm glad he's alive and well. Welcome to Easter Sunday worship with us today online. We're so happy to have you this morning, and we've got some great things in store for you. I can't wait to hear the word of the Lord this morning. We're so glad that you are joining us today. My name is Derald Weber. I'm the associate pastor here at the Pentecostals of Lafayette. To all of our guests that are watching, thank you so much for tuning in today. And to our POL family, we love you, we miss you, and we're praying for your family, and can't wait to see you again soon. And we would love for each and every one of you, if you're a member of the POL family or you're a guest watching today, we would love for you to interact with us however you're watching. We'd love for you to engage with us on social media platforms, wherever you're watching, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, however you're watching this service today. Let us know where you're watching from. If you have a prayer request, put those in the comments. If you're a first-time viewer, make sure you put that on there. If I'm a first-time viewer, we would love to interact with you and engage with you during this service, and we're certainly thankful that you are watching with us this morning and worshiping with us, and we pray for your home,
pray for your family, job situations, and we cannot wait to get back together. And if you are a guest watching today, when all this is over, we invite you to join us back on the POL campus. We would love to have you in the name of Jesus. Just want to announce one thing real quickly, and I'm going to get out of the way. We're going to worship again. But beginning tomorrow, we're going to continue our daily online content. And over the next couple of weeks, there are going to be a lot of new and exciting videos and devotions and media segments for you to take part of and to watch with your family. So please make sure you visit our social media outlets, our website. Make sure you visit the app. That schedule is going to be posted. So make sure you get all of those details. We don't want you to miss out. There's going to be things for students and kids and adults and young adults and marrieds and college age group. There's going to be a ton of things for all ages, and we're hoping that you can join with us this coming week and over the next couple of weeks for that. And we also continue to give faithfully to the Lord, because we know that that is a form of worship. So to our POL family, make sure that if you're able to do so, get on the website, set up online banking. You can do that. You can mail in your tithes and offering. You can give through the Givelify app as well. So make sure we're doing that, because we want to remain faithful in all areas of our lives. We don't want to let anything lax. We don't want to let anything slip through the cracks. We want to remain faithful and worship the Lord. And we're so happy to have you this morning. I know I've said it a couple times, but I can't tell you enough how grateful we are that you are tuning in this morning on this wonderful Easter Sunday. Pastor Weber is going to open the word here in just a minute, but before we do that, our worship team is going to lead us one more time into worship. And I encourage you, wherever you're watching from, living room, hospital room, if you're in a break room on the job, wherever you are, I encourage you to interact with worship. If you feel led to lift your hands, do that. If you want to sing along, do that this morning. Let worship fill your room wherever you are today. And God bless you this morning. We hope you have a great and wonderful Easter. Let's worship the name of Jesus together, because He is risen, He is alive and well, and we celebrate that today. God bless you this morning.
It
cross. We're so blessed to be forgiven and redeemed, but thank you for getting out of that grave. We're so blessed today, empowered by your presence. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, praise team. I feel like this building is packed with worshiping people. I feel your spirits in this place. I feel your activity in your home. I feel somebody's rejoicing because this great day has changed our lives forever. Amen. We're going to grab our Bibles. We're going to Matthew chapter 28 today. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection Day to everyone. Thank you, praise team. What a beautiful presence of God is filling this sanctuary. And I'm so glad it's not constricted or restricted to this local building, but right where you are, the presence of God. Let the presence of God flow. Let the presence of God move. Entertain the presence of God. And when I say that, it means get involved, knowing the presence of God is where you are right now. You got to get involved. Don't be like the crowd who was thronging Jesus, who was screaming and chasing. Don't just be one of the spectators. Be like the Bartimaeus who was speaking out directly to the Lord and glorifying Him. That's the one he heard out of the crowd. So on this Easter Sunday, get involved in your homes. Get involved where you are by saying amen, by lifting your hands, by letting the praise come from your lips. The Bible calls it the fruit of your lips. This is a great day, and God's going to do some powerful things. He's already doing some things through worship. I feel that. I feel somebody came into their living room, or somebody turned on this wonderful webcast, and you were in one frame of mind, but suddenly you were transformed. That's what the resurrection will do. It'll transform you. Matthew chapter 28 is where we're looking this morning. Matthew chapter 28. We're going down to verse 6. I'm just going to read 8 words in verse 6. Matthew chapter 28. He is not here, for he has risen. Those 8 words changed it all for us. Those 8 words changed it all for all of humanity. Those 8 words changed all of history. They changed all of eternity. He is not here, for he is risen. Lord, we thank you for your powerful presence in our midst. Now we pray, Lord, that your word would flow through our lives. That here, wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves on this beautiful Easter Sunday morning, that, Lord, you would speak directly to us, that you would give us divine direction, that your power would flow through your word and reach into our lives where it needs to be the most. We love you today, and Lord, let us be hearers and doers of your word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen, amen. I want to preach this morning, and what other subject can we choose? But this subject I preach today is Jesus got up out of that grave. Praise God. Jesus got up out of that grave. Without the power of the resurrection, we cannot sing these beautiful songs that we were singing this morning. If Jesus doesn't get up out of that grave, death has won. The grave is victorious, and nothing changes. If you remove the resurrection of Jesus from Christianity, you don't have Christianity. You literally take the heart out of it. All of God's redemptive plan and miracle-changing power depends upon the key reality that the man from Galilee got up out of that grave. If there's no resurrection, there's no church. Anybody that says they belong to a church that doesn't believe that Jesus got up out of that grave doesn't belong to God's church. The true church is the church of those who have been given life through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The church was born in the resurrection. The first sermon ever preached after Jesus rose from the dead is found in Acts chapter 2, and the sermon title was Jesus Got Up Out of That Grave. The resurrection became the theme for all the gospel preaching throughout the history of the church. In the book of Acts, the Apostle Peter not only preached on the resurrection in chapter 2, but he preached on the resurrection in chapter 4. And then again, he preached on the resurrection in chapter 10. Stephen preached on the resurrection in chapter 7. Philip preached on the resurrection in chapter 8. Then Paul preached on the resurrection in chapter 9, chapter 13, and chapter 28. When you arrive at the epistles, they are loaded with resurrection truth. The book of Romans says Christ was raised up from the dead to bring glory to the Father. 1 Corinthians says he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures. 2 Corinthians says he was raised up, and being raised up shall raise us up also. The letter to the Ephesians talks about Christ who was raised from the dead. The letter to the Philippians, Paul says that I may know him and the power of his resurrection. In Colossians, we read God who has raised him from the dead. In Thessalonians, we read his Son whom he raised from the dead. Paul was not alone. The Apostle Peter, writing in his first epistle, said in verse 3 of the first chapter, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who according to his great mercy has caused us to be born again," listen to this, "unto a living hope." The living hope speaks of a resurrection of Jesus Christ. The great book of Revelation, which concludes all the divinely inspired scripture, it begins with the words of Jesus. "I am the first and the last. I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore, and have the keys of hell and of death." The resurrection is not just the theme of the New Testament, but it's also the theme of the Old Testament. The psalmist David said, "My heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh shall also rest in hope, for thou wilt not leave me and my soul in the grave." The Old Testament prophet Daniel says, "And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to the shame and everlasting contempt." The prophet Isaiah joins in the resurrection truth when he says, "Your dead shall live, their bodies shall rise. You who dwell in the dust, you're going to awake and you're going to sing with joy." Jesus had a lot to say about the resurrection. He says, "Because I live, you shall live also." Or in John 11, that great testimony of the Lord at the tomb of Lazarus, just before he raises Lazarus from the dead, Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life. And he that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die." We come then to the greatest single truth in all of Christianity, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. For thousands of years, the Jews met on the Sabbath to worship, which is what we call Saturday. But all of a sudden, Christians changed it all. They began to meet on Sunday. Sabbath was no more the day because Sunday became the day because Jesus got up out of that grave. So every Sunday, when we worship and when we glorify God with people of like precious faith, you are actually celebrating the resurrection, realizing that he is not dead, but he is alive. And the church has marched through time triumphant in the power of the risen Savior. When our Lord came into the world the first time, he was mocked, he was scorned, he was hated. He was a man of sorrows. He was acquainted with grief. He was humbled. He was mistreated. He was called a blasphemer. They beat him. They spit on him. They pressed a crown of thorns down upon his head. They drove nails through his hands and through his feet. They rammed a spear into his side. But that's not the last scene the world will have of Jesus. When the world remembers Jesus, they don't just remember the blood and the wounds and the tears of defeat. But ladies and gentlemen, there is an empty tomb, praise God. It's not empty because somebody stole his body. It's not empty because somebody removed his bones. That tomb is empty because our Redeemer lives. He got up out of that grave. And I think right now we ought to take a praise break. We ought to tell him, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for your resurrection power in my life. Praise God. Calvary saved me, but the resurrection changed me. Calvary forgave me, but the resurrection gave me power over sin. Calvary cleaned me up, but thank God for the resurrection that lifted me up, because he's alive and he got up out of that grave. Your life can be changed now. If you are bound, you can be set free now. You have access to his delivering power. You have access right now to his saving power. You have access right now to his healing power. You have access right now to his forgiving power, because he got up out of that grave. Praise God. Praise God. Just as the heart pumps lifeblood to the body, so the resurrection is the very heart of the gospel, pumping life into every other area of truth. Take away the resurrection, Christianity comes out as wishful thinking and just another useless human philosophy. But Jesus said, because I live, you shall live also. He granted to anybody who comes to him by faith that same resurrection hope. And it was this belief and this belief alone that turned the heartbroken followers of a crucified Jesus into the courageous martyrs of the early church. It was the resurrection that gave birth to the fellowship of the saints that became the church. They found in those early years that they could imprison those people. They could chastise them. They could beat those Christians. They could assault them. They could invent ways to persecute them. And they could even kill them. But they could never make them deny the reality of the resurrection. It has always been and will always be the cornerstone of our faith. Yes, he died. We do not deny that our Savior died. He was wounded. He was beaten. My scripture tells me he was crucified on a cross. He physically died. His heart stopped beating. His lungs stopped receiving air. His body shut down and was dead. And that precious blood that flowed through our Savior's veins flowed down that cross and over that ground outside of Jerusalem, because he loves you. His pain spoke of his great love. His agony spoke of his great love. What a Savior. What a Redeemer. What a love. I think we need to stop again. Amen. And just tell him, thank you, Jesus, for that great love wherewith you loved us. Even while we were sinners, you loved us. Thank you for that great love. Never has there been a display of love in all of time like your love. Thank you for your love. Don't ever try to compare his love to a love of a human, a man or a woman. Don't ever try to compare his love to a parent or a friend. There is no love that has ever come close to his love for you and me. That's what he showed us when he died. Yes, he died. Yes, he was dead. And yes, they did put him in a grave. And hell would love for you to think in your life and in your situation that your Savior is still in the grave. And your highlight of your life would be some pilgrimage back to a place where he was buried, and that is his last known place where his body rested and still is there. That is the highlight of a life of a dead God, because the grave represented finality. So the adversary would love to keep your Savior in a grave. But the resurrection screams to us, our Lord got up out of that grave, and he is alive. He is alive. Buddhists don't claim a resurrection. In the Tipitaka, which is the Buddhist Bible, we read the first account of Buddha relative to his death, and listen to what it says in their Bible. When Buddha died, it was with that passing away in which nothing whatever remains. Mohammedans don't claim a resurrection. Muhammad died on June the 8th, 632 AD at Medina, where his tomb is annually visited by tens of thousands of people. And nobody has ever claimed that he came out of that grave. All the millions and billions of Buddhists and Mohammedans and all the other religions in the world agree that their founders have never come up out of that grave. But even the name of our church tells you about our God. It's called the Church of the Living God. And every time the church baptizes another person, it represents the resurrection. For Paul tells us in Colossians, we are buried with him in baptism, wherein also we are risen with him through the faith of the operation of God, who hath raised him from the dead. We gather here on Sunday because it represents the day he rose. We baptize every believer because it represents his burial, but it represents him getting up out of that grave. That's the heart of our faith. Because he overcame, we are overcomers. If there's any message in the resurrection, it's this: when it looked like there was no way, he made a way. It doesn't matter how far gone you may be, Jesus made a way for you. Praise God. Praise God. I want that to marinate in your spirit for just a moment. You may feel that your situation doesn't even have a pulse. It may not even be moving. They may have already written it off. They might have already called the coroner. It may not have any signs of being revived. But because he got up out of that grave, because he got up out of his dead situation, you can get up out of your dead situation. Praise God. Job's whole life was shattered. He lost everything important to him. But in Job 19 and verse 26, he says something that takes the power out of the hands of the devil. Job says, I am going to make it. I'm going to be all right somehow. I don't see it. I don't feel it. But I know something. I know that my Redeemer lives. I know that my Redeemer lives. I know that whatever you want to do, God, you can do it in my life. I know that whatever you want to do right now, you can do it. If you can get up out of a grave, if you can shake off death, there is nothing you cannot do in my life right now. It doesn't doesn't matter what shape your situation is in. It doesn't matter what stage it's in. I know my Redeemer liveth. I know this I know, that he rose from the dead. He resurrected on that day, and he is alive. And if he can do that, my friend, there is nothing in my life that God cannot take care of. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, materially, it doesn't matter what it is. Right there where you are, why don't you reach out to him? Why don't you tell him, I trust you. I believe in you. I feel God right now reaching into homes, reaching into lives. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Praise God. In this crazy world where there's so much fear right now, so much turmoil, so much political issues, so much physical ailment, so much emotional stress, so many things happening, there's still a place where people can go. People who have been overwhelmed with the problems of life, and they're saying, how can anything ever help me now? How will I ever get through this? How can I ever overcome this? And we can give them an answer today, and our answer is, hold on. He got up out of that grave. Pastor, how can I get rid of this heaviness? Call on the one who got up out of the grave. Pastor, how can I climb out of this despair? Call on the one who got up out of the grave. But you don't understand. I've been in hospitals and I've been in rehab centers and I've been from session to session and nothing has helped. Then call on the one who got up out of the grave. Amen. But Pastor, I'm stranded on this lonely island. I don't know what pain, amen, can do until I got to this place. My heart aches. Then call on the one who got up out of that grave. You may even have guilt that keeps you up at night because something keeps telling you you're better than this. You can turn your life around, but you don't know how. I've got a message from heaven for you on this beautiful Easter Sunday morning. He got up out of that grave just for you. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what you've done or where you've been or how long you've been there, you need a rendezvous with the man from Galilee this morning. It is, amen, his power to take care of whatever you need. He is your way out. He is your way through. He is your way in. He has made a way for you because he got up. Woo! Hallelujah. Some who would usually leap and dance and run in this sanctuary, you need to do it in your living room right now. Amen. Just leap a little bit. He got up. Praise God. He got up out of that grave. Thank God. That's my story. I was down, but he got up, so I came out. Praise God. So I've got a message for somebody. Come on, get up. It's time to stop being intimidated. I don't know what life and what circumstances are going to recreate things in our economy and our social statuses and our incomes and even our life as I don't know anything, but I know you got to get up. Get up. It's time to stop your fruitfulness, your being unproductive. Get up. Get up from your place of not moving forward. Get up. Just going through life, drab, colorless. Realize I can have the power of God in my life. God has made a way for you because he got up out of that grave. Praise God. He got up. He got up out of that grave. Come on, open your faith right now. Turn your living room into an altar. Turn your car right now. Pull over. Get in a parking lot if you're moving. Stop. Move somewhere where you can talk to the Lord. Let your place where you're receiving the word right now become an altar. Make an altar. Amen. Open your faith up and let the Spirit begin to flow. He'll talk to you right where you are. He'll lead you. He'll guide you. He'll anoint you. He'll enable you. He'll empower you. He will direct your life. Somebody ought to shout, I can have revival out there. Somebody ought to shout, I can be healed. My family can be well. I can receive healing in my body. Somebody, you need to receive healing right now. What a better day. Is there a better day than Easter Sunday morning when he got up out of that grave for you to receive your healing? That's what happened to me 4 years ago today. Praise God. I wouldn't be preaching to you like I am right now if it hadn't been for His grace and mercy and Him getting up out of that grave. This old back was gone. It was over. I was on my way to surgery. I couldn't stand more than 5 to 8 minutes, but He got up. He got up, healed me 4 years ago on this day. Oh, you think I'm going to be quiet about this? You think I'm going to play this thing down and say it's not so important? Let me tell you something. If He got out of that grave, He can set you free. Because God got out of the grave. He made a way for me. He can fill me with the Holy Ghost right now, right where you are. Whatever you need from Him, why don't you let the power of His Spirit begin to work in your life? And if you want the Holy Ghost, I tell you, you can have it right there where you are. You can speak in that heavenly language. You can repent of your sins. You can be forgiven. God's power can flow through your life. You can have it right now if you want it. If you want out from under that heaviness, you can get out. If you want out from under that physical issue, you can get out because He got up out of that grave. Come on, pray right where you are. Oh, Lord, I need a miracle in my life. I need a miracle in my life. I receive it right now in the name of Jesus. I receive it right now in the name of Jesus. My God got up out of that grave, and so I claim that power that flows freely for me right now. I claim healing power. I claim deliverance. I claim that awesome power of the presence of God. I claim the Holy Ghost. I claim forgiveness. I claim that strength in my life. Come on, that's it. Cry out to the Lord. Cry out to the Lord on this beautiful Sunday morning and tell Him, I want you to rise in my life. I want to get up like you got up. I want to come out of my grave clothes. I want to come out of those things of despair. I want the power to work in me. I want the presence of God to have His way in my life. Come on, do it where you are right now. Tell Him the resurrection has changed it all for me. Praise God. Praise God.
The Lamb that was slain, He's alive. Forever He shall reign. He's alive. They crucified Him on Calvary, but He rose in victory. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. Oh, with all power in His hands. Yes, He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. There